Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world for technology startups. We run it out of Silicon Valley, but we cater to entrepreneurs all over the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. We've been doing this for a very long time in support of the 1M mission. There's these free mentoring roundtables. This is the 627th session. Can you imagine? We started way back when in 2008. This event is being recorded. You don't need to take notes. You will have the recording available to refer back to. And all our recordings are available on the YouTube channel 1M Roundtables. On Twitter, we're at Stromana and at 1Mby1M. You're welcome to follow. We publish a lot. These are the call-in instructions. We do have scheduled pitches first. So first we're going to do those and then come back to Q&A. We're going to start today's session with Richard Carrion from Puerto Rico, where it is 80 degrees. Welcome, Richard. Please unmute your line and let's get going.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sharmana, and thank you very much, Maureen, for the opportunity to present to you guys. Let me talk to you about Dinio. Dinio will be the first digital bank in Puerto Rico. Next slide, please. Yep. To give you an idea, Puerto Rico is currently hit with just three banks, three legacy banks, if you will, which mainly control all of the banking activity on the island with one processing company. Therefore, there's been very little to no innovation from any of these financial institutions. To give you some detail on that, the latest and greatest thing that came out was Photo Check, developed during the pandemic to ease a little bit of the lines in the branches. Puerto Rico is a 100 by 35 island with 197 branches for just one bank, a total of 250 within the three banks on the island. Obviously an aging population, however, there is room for a lot of improvement and a lot of technological advancement in the area, particularly in the finance sector. Next slide, please. So obviously, Dinio will be the first e-wallet in Puerto Rico. Right now, Puerto Rico is very interesting because we are a U.S. territory. However, we currently fall under the Latin American for all the card networks. So there's a lot of issues with that, given that they can't necessarily have wallets within iPhones or Android phones. So, however, because of the relationships that I have established, and I'll get into that a little bit later, with the sponsor bank that we have, we will have all the ability to be within the Android and the iPhone wallets. And therefore, that's why we are designed for the millennial mindset individual, hectic lifestyle, doesn't want to go to a branch, doesn't want to spend an hour in a line waiting to deposit a check. We want everything to be as seamless as possible, and more importantly, secure. Next slide. So this is our initial product launch. Will be obviously just a debit card that you can access via your phone. You don't even have to, you can request a physical card, but it won't necessarily be available. It won't necessarily, unless you don't, unless you want it. But the important thing is the features that it will have during the account opening process, which will be done in a matter of minutes, 4 minutes to be exact. You can, as I mentioned earlier, it can download to the digital wallet. More importantly, the important aspect, as I mentioned earlier, is that relationship with Visa and MasterCard. So we will have contactless payments, and you can use features such as Apple Pay and Android Pay, which, as I mentioned, because we're in Puerto Rico, currently the Latin American status does not allow that to on current banks here on the island. We'll have the digital dashboard that you can view, the English and Spanish setting, which is important, and obviously you'll be allowed to pay your mortgages, your rents, your utility bills, all via transfers. And it's important that I mention we're allowed to have this because of the relationship I have with the sponsor bank, which is Cross River Bank out of New Jersey. They'll obviously be offering their banking as a service model, which they currently have with a few other ones in other startups in California. Also, Visa will be our primary card network that we will use. I've been in contact with them, and I'm currently on their fast track program. They've noticed that there's a big gap in in ACH transactions from Puerto Rico through to the mainland US. So they want Dinio to be their main bank for their product called Visa Transact. The Visa Transact will allow, kind of like a Venmo or PayPal, will allow users to easily access any other bank account on, which is obviously they need a visa for it, but you can actually send money to and from that account to anywhere in the world. As I mentioned earlier, Puerto Rico is a closed banking system, so there's only one processing company, and you can only do those types of transactions within the banks in Puerto Rico. So for a Puerto Rico bank to send money to the States, it's almost near impossible. They usually need to get a credit card from the States so that they can input it in Venmo or PayPal to send money to the States. This will obviously bypass that. And once the Visa Transact is allowed in Puerto Rico, we will be the settlement bank for all the other institutions going in and out of Puerto Rico. So next slide, please. A little bit of our target market. Obviously, we're going through the what we call millennial mindsets, which encompasses a few generations. More importantly, the millennials, Gen A's, Gen Z's going forward. There's obviously, a few Gen A's that are very savvy with their phones. And here in Puerto Rico, it's important to mention also, I put on there the Act 20 and 22s, or the high net worth individuals. You do have a big population that has moved from the States to Puerto Rico. And because their main banking relationship is in the States, they have issues sending money in and out of that transaction. These are obviously folks that have moved to Puerto Rico for tax benefits, but they still need that connection with their local bank in the States, not necessarily here in Puerto Rico. But by having an account in Puerto Rico, it's very hard for them. So that's a target market for us down here, as well as obviously, the millennial mindsets, as we call them. And as we mature, obviously, I put on there the small to medium sized companies, because as there's 3 banks on the island, there is very little need for credit products or for web cash products for those companies. So again, those are a good target for us to have, especially all the new entrepreneurs that are coming with businesses here in Puerto Rico. So next slide, please. And this is talking a little bit more about our target market within Puerto Rico, which I consider our beta market more than anything. So we have this group of millennial mindsets, which is around 636,000 folks. Puerto Rico is obviously 2.8, 2.9 million people right now. This really focuses in on the target that we want. I've forecasted at least 100,000 within 2 years in my model. But this kind of really grasps as to what we want to focus on, given that this is the main part of the island that really is looking for a new and more modern banking system. Most of the college students that I've talked to right now, they're opening up their accounts in the States with banks out there such as Chime. So that's the model that we're kind of going after. We obviously want to keep them here, and obviously since there's a big population in the States, obviously target them as well. So next slide, please.
Let's stay here for a second.
Sure.
Because I know you are looking for financing. You sent me a LinkedIn message to that effect, so let me comment on that. And this slide is really important to figure that out, whether your company is financeable or not. So these 100,000 odd people, or even 600,000 odd people, what does that amount to from a revenue perspective?
Yeah, no, excellent question. That will amount to, more than anything, the depository fees. So, but it's not really from the customer. It's more from the transactional. So it's really the merchants. So you're looking for, within the first 2 years, it'll be between 350 to 750,000. In the second year it'll be 750, growing. But then again, I'm not really trying to focus too much on the depository income, because from what I know, being in the banking business, that's just the deposit capture strategy. So really, the idea is to kind of really get around $2,000 to $3,000 in deposit per person. And they will do transactions. They will do a minimum debit transactions, like around 28 to 35 transactions. But again, I want to focus on the depository capture part so that I can lend it out. It's really a lot of the interest income is really based on on the loans that we can give out. So that's the next feature, which is obviously once we do the deposit capture strategy, then we get into the consumer loans, which are small time loans, you know, anywhere between 5,000 to 25,000. And obviously because we already have the information,
the bottom line that you need to address if you're trying to be credible to an investor is a you know, regular venture style investor. And this could be somebody who's doing a pre-seed venture fund or an angel financing in the early stages, but it follows the same rules because downstream it's going to be the venture style investment. The thumb rule is investors are trying to go from 0 to 100 million in 5 to 7 years. Now, if you cannot show 0 to 100 million in revenue in 5 to 7 years, this is not a venture fundable deal.
No, true. And the thing is going forward on a net interest income. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at within the first 10 years, you're looking at almost $1 billion in loans, and that's just in Puerto Rico. And within that aspect of
$1 billion
it,
in loans is not $1 billion in revenue for the bank.
well, it's interesting. No, at the end of the day, but you're still looking at a pretty good net income figure, though. And I think the important aspect is that you're targeting the Hispanic population, which currently no other bank is doing in the States. I mean, most of these guys just really adopt, but the FDIC doesn't really want JP Morgan Chase or B of A to kind of really come up with a bank specifically target for Hispanics. So they would be the #1 target in 5 to 7 years. Needless to say
And
that.
is there a case for that? I understand in Puerto Rico, you're saying that there are real issues and there's a gap in the market, but you know, in the US, there are umpteen banks, there are community banks, there are credit unions, there are all kinds of things. So I don't necessarily buy that the Hispanic population is underserved in the United States.
I think the Hispanic community is a little bit underserved when it comes to banking. You know, that's why a lot of the funds that they go there, you know, they might assimilate more than anything. So they'll go with a JP Morgan or a B of A, but they won't, you know, they won't necessarily use all the features attached to it. I mean, if you look at a lot of the younger millennials in the US, particularly the Latin millennials, which I think, you know, one out of every 4 millennial in the States right now is Hispanic. And they'll usually go with yeah, there is more competition in the States. I'll definitely give you that. But a lot of them are using Chime and more, you know, they assimilate a little bit more than any other bank. But if you present to them a bank that has Latin American ties to it, then that might be what kind of switches them over. You know, and again, it's all about
You have
the
to be, my point is you have to be a lot more convincing with a lot more data to sell this idea that there is a gap in the US in the Latin American banking, you know, process.
Okay.
The issue with Puerto Rico is that your market size is small, and unless you can show just based on Puerto Rico, you can get to $100 million in revenue in 5 to 7 years. This is going to be difficult to finance on a venture basis. And if you're trying to finance, if you're trying to do the TAM expansion using the US Hispanic market, then you have to establish that there is real need in the Hispanic market because it is a very, very crowded banking market. So introducing a new bank, why is that even relevant for the US customers? And I mean, you haven't shown me anything or told me anything to convince me to that. So that doesn't mean that logic or argument does not exist, but you have to really think that through and make a much better presentation out of that.
No, thank you. No, and I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, not just from me telling you. I know that there's data out there, but yeah, I appreciate that info.
Okay.
So yeah, this is just a little bit about our customer acquisition and marketing strategy, where obviously it gives us a much lower customer cost than your typical bank. I mean, here in Puerto Rico, you know, it's a lot of billboards and a lot of social media. More than anything, we still do have radio spots and TV ads. You know, newspaper is kind of dwindling down, but it's still
Customer acquisition
effective.
is low in Puerto Rico. This is a credible point that people will accept. I don't think
Yeah,
anybody will argue with you on that.
yeah, exactly. I
That's
mean,
not your
if I
issue.
look at the, sorry.
That's not your issue.
True, true. I mean, it's more than anything. I mean, but that's again, that's what kind of makes Puerto Rico attractive. Is as I mentioned earlier, Puerto Rico is kind of like my beta exam. You know, my beta test. I can kind of really do I can tweak the product depending on how it kind of goes and how it launches here in Puerto Rico before I take it to the States.
How far are you from being able to actually do business in Puerto Rico?
I'm not that far. I'm like 6 months away. I need the extra capital to finish the I guess the product
And you can't do it without extra capital?
with extra cap. No, I can't do it right now. No, I need the extra capital so that I can fund the last part of the tech team and just do the connection with the sponsor bank. That's where I am.
It's going to be very, very difficult to raise money at this stage for Puerto Rico. So if you can, bootstrap your way to getting this going, because your customer acquisition is low, this may actually get into revenue faster. If you can get this to revenue quickly, that is your best path to making a success of this business, regardless of capital. If you can remove the capital bottleneck from your path, you would have a much higher chance of success, because so far, based on what you've told me, my sense is there is a lot of question mark about the fundability of this deal. It has nothing to do with capital not being available in Puerto Rico. It has everything to do with the Puerto Rico market being potentially too small, and the point that you're making about expanding into the US market, I have not seen a credible argument for that yet. So that's why this deal is going to have difficulty getting financed.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let us move to Daya. Daya, please unmute your line and get going. Oh, okay. You call yourself Dan? Dan?
Yeah. Hi. Can you see me?
Yes.
Hi. Yeah. I'm like, thank you so much, Shramana. Namaskar. Really nice that you gave me a chance again. So my full name is Dayanand Minashi. I go with Daya or Dan, whatever you're comfortable with. I just want to first give you a little background. I don't know if you remember, I'm actually one of your student. I took your class about 10 years back. I think I go around telling people that's the best $1,000 I ever spent, actually, because one thing that you really taught is how one can go and the customer segmentation, right? And actually, I am the best poster boy to actually validate, because this is my third venture. And you might ask what happened to the other two. The first was I analyzed 10K. I was trying to figure out something. And in the XBRL, I don't know if you have heard, maybe Richard, you heard, like, this is a financial services place. So if someone files something with the SEC, they have to publish it using data technology called XBRL. So this started in early 2010 or so. And XBRL actually ran a contest saying, anyone who can come up with a technology to actually consume that data, we will connect you with investors and all. So I actually participated that using Analyze 10K, and I came up, but I kind of lost. Calc Bench won, and they are actually doing really good. So good, they had a better technology there. So obviously, but I learned a lot of things. So that's when I joined your course, and I learned. Second was something called Form Recorder. I started where it was to do with it's like a school community where, because my wife is a music teacher, that's where I saw the requirement. But they were having a lot of problem, like if they give an audio assignment and someone has to record and send it to Google Forms, they were not doing. So I built this thing. It ran well for the free part, but obviously when it came to money, they had a deal with Power School. I could not get, but I was able to sell it for $5,000 to a Texas school district. So obviously, so then I had to shut down the website because they bought the IP. So this is my third one. So it's called Safemultiple. The mission is to mentor individual investors who want to learn about value investing. So next slide, please. Okay. So as I told, my name is Dan Minashi. Call me Dan. I'm a data engineer and developer, and I started my IT career in '97, having worked mostly in insurance and credit card industries about for more than 25 years. So it has taught me a deep insight in the concept of risk-based pricing. And I started my investment journey in 2002. Obviously, like most of the people, learned lessons hard way. I lost some money in the stock market and all. And then in 2007, when I was at a Barnes and Noble store, I stumbled upon Buffett's biography. Really was impressed, and I could see his value investing philosophy kind of matching my mindset and all. And I spent about almost 10 years. So being a technology background, I didn't know finance or accounting, anything about that. So I spent 10 years, I self-taught myself corporate finance, valuation, and things like that. And whenever I learn, I'll kind of a little bit teach to my friends, like, hey, this is how an income statement works or balance sheet. So we'll have like a Saturday night, gatherings talking about that, just informal. Next slide, please. And the first foray into investment education is in 2017. So I don't know if you read Security Analysis by Graham and Dodd. It's a pretty, comprehensive book, 851 pages, 52 chapters. So that's what I will go around saying, hey, if you really want to learn about investing, you need to read the textbook. And most of the people will be like, you know what, I have no idea, because the textbook goes around talking about an era between, I think, 1920 to 39 and all. And it's very dry, right? So I went and I spent 6 months and I created like a study guide. It has 234 quiz questions, and now it is available free also. So that was my first foray where people liked it. They're like now able to kind of somewhat comprehend. And next slide, please. So then the birth of Safemultiple, right? So all these things were going around. I will go around teaching what I'm learning and all. So then many of my friends came and said, okay, can you actually a little bit formalize it and showcase whatever you've learned into like a model portfolio, which we can follow, and then we can also see how you are doing. Does it really kind of, do you really can you show as a practical thing? So that's where the Safemultiple model portfolio started, 1st January 2020. And I put my own capital into it, $12,837 through my IRA account. And what I started doing is every month I actually will publish how it's going and why I made the decisions, and especially the blunders and mistakes. If, let's say I make a big mistake, I'll literally publish, and everything was transparent. So basically I'll say this is what is going on. Again, it's for education. Past performance is not guarantee of future, and that's how they could learn. So it has been this January, it will complete 4 years of that. Next slide, please. So this is the performance of that, as you can see with this thing. And again, caution, past performance is no guarantee of the future results, and it's for educational purpose only. And it has gone through, every month I've published, and as of November 30th, this is how I've been comparing with different indices. And also there are a couple of links. You can see the historical progress and what exactly are the stocks I invested in all. So if anyone wants, I can send them that. So you might ask, what is the intrinsic value of Safemultiple, right? So it will complete 4 years, and I've been totally transparent and educating a whole group of enthusiastic value investors who are trying to learn that and come from technology background and don't know finance and accounting. So the trust they have interested in me, and they've shared a lot of their personal financial objectives and all, which they won't share with anyone else. And I've obviously promised not to share that data, but I've come to know, I've understood their investment psychology, what exactly steers them to make an investment, and what exactly are their needs.
Darnell, how many of these investors are in your
Yeah,
pool?
I was there. Yeah, in the next slide, I was about to show that.
Right.
Okay. So, okay, so should I go there and come back here? Actually, maybe.
Sure.
Okay, so maybe Maureen, if you can, no, not there. Like if you can go 2 more slides. Yeah, here. So this is, oh, sorry, no. Can you go back here? So exactly, Shramana, I'm showing the data from the HostGator. I don't want to, picture anything. So you can see, right, it has been choppy. Okay, so I've not used any advertisement. And so everything I get is from the word of mouth. And can you go to the next slide here? So most of the users actually do not come back to my website. So you might ask why? Because whenever they hear about investment, right, they think, okay, how I can make money quickly. I say, I'm really sorry, I don't give stock advice, and plus value investing is a long-term journey. So 9 out of 10 people, they just kind of, okay, thanks, but not for me. But the few who have stayed, who are actually following my this thing, have stayed, and now 44 people have shared their financial details, and they actually even wanted me to start an investment partnership with each one, kind of on an average ready to put in a capital of 270,000. So that was another thing I was thinking. But being working in a financial services, it would be conflict of interest. So that's a separate thing. If I have to go that route, I have to really quit my job and do it full time. But I'm thinking of a separate business idea. So can you go back, Maureen, to that one? Sorry, I should have put that. Yeah, so this is the business idea I wanted to discuss. So a lot of my investors, right, like the people who really are with me still, want to invest in the private business, right, in the private tech sector, especially where they see a lot of valuations have gone down and they are seeing a potential. But the only problem they're having is they don't know, they don't publish their financial statements, and they don't have any way to value them. So they're saying, if I could go around, get these candidates, I value them, and obviously I charge them a valuation fee because it will need a lot of work, and I then showcase them, and if they like, they're ready to invest there. So that's actually my overall idea, and I just wanted
Not gonna
to.
work. It's not gonna work.
Oh, okay.
It's not gonna work because all this expertise that you've developed in public company valuation does not apply to tech startups.
I see.
The parameters on the basis of which you value
Mhm.
public companies are not available for tech startups. Tech startup, especially early stage tech startup valuation, is very subjective, and it's based on customer validation and market, total available market, and so forth, none of which are part of the valuation calculations of public companies. Public companies have actual financials. Tech startups don't have financials. So this is not going to work at all.
Oh, okay.
So don't waste your time. You've basically invalidated 3 ideas. Now come up with the next one.
Okay.
And this is going to be a complete waste of time.
Oh, okay. No, thank you so much, Ramana. Thanks for.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, folks. As you can see, I do not mince my words. It took me literally, 5 minutes to look and assess Daya's idea and tell him that this is not going to work and why it will not work. So I'm not going to mince my words. If you like my approach of being very candid and very much, I will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Then refer your friends to 1 million by 1 million, because this is my style. I do tell you what I see candidly and honestly.
No, thank you so much, Ramana. Appreciate it. Okay.
Resources wise, everything is at 1Mby1M.com. You will find a free blog series that is very powerful, and a lot of people learn from just following the blog. An Entrepreneur Journeys book series of 12 books is available also on Amazon. You can start your journey there. These are all case study based books. As I said, this is our 627th roundtable. We've been doing these for a long time. And our full acceleration program, what Daya has done actually earlier in his process, is a premium program, $1,000 annual membership fee, and you get extensive methodology guidance, access to our full curriculum, help with business development where we have connections. You get strategy consulting like this on a weekly basis in our private roundtables that are members only. You get help with financing. We work with a very large number of investors, and you get help with media relations. I suggest you use the self-assessment tool on the website. It's free. And these are the VC questions, VC due diligence questions. If you're looking to raise money, these are questions that you would have to answer. Bootstrapping is a very, very important piece of our methodology. You can find our free bootstrapping course on the blog, it's pinned to the top of the blog. It's less than 1 hour long, but I strongly recommend you do this one. We also have a lot of courses that are very reasonably priced on Udemy, and Maureen can give you a link where you can find coupons to these courses, another great way of learning. This is the link where you will find the coupons. Every month we issue coupons, discount coupons for these courses. You can also access all our courses through 1M1M Basic curriculum only, or as I said, 1M1M Premium. So go to the website, look around, what to expect from Premium, what to expect from Basic, video FAQs, a lot of description of the curriculum, how it's organized, what it contains. It's all case study based. Thousands of entrepreneurs have contributed to teaching this course. Their case studies are available for you to learn from. And as I've been telling, this is your New Year resolution time. So, make a New Year resolution to spend 1 hour every day with a successful entrepreneur. And how do you do that? You do it through 1M1M, either through Udemy, through 1M1M Basic, through 1M1M Premium, whatever way you want to do it. But that hour you spend with a successful entrepreneur will give you tremendous amount of inspiration, confidence, and that's how you come up with good ideas. If you're still looking for an idea, if you just spend lots of time with people who have done it before in domains that you're interested in, we do have a lot of FinTech stuff. Both of our companies today have been FinTech companies. We do have a course on FinTech on Udemy, plus we have a lot of FinTech curriculum material on 1M1M Basic and Premium, if that's your domain. But in general, we have a lot of domains covered. And if you immerse yourselves in these entrepreneurs and just spend time with these entrepreneurs on a daily basis, it's bound to catalyze ideas and learning in you. Similarly, we have investors who are part of this program, and you can spend time with investors as well and learn from them. So the investor introduction, there's a policy on that. There's a section which describes that policy. Please go through that. Our methodology is bootstrap first, raise money later. Do not go to investors as beggars, go as kings. All of that is that covers what I wanted to show you in terms of resources. There are 4 roundtables in January. This is the last one for December before the holidays. And then January, we resume regular schedule. All 4 Thursdays, we have free roundtables. Please feel free to make a reservation for a slot. And I do have time to take more questions. If anybody has more questions, you can ask through the computer, or you can dial in. Either way is fine. If you have questions about the program, Irina Patterson is your contact. Irina@1mby1m.com. She'll be happy to talk to you on the phone as well.
Hey, Shramana, if you don't mind, actually, I had a question for Richard. About his business. So I still kind of didn't understand. Is it a bank he is trying to start?
Yes, he's starting a bank. He's trying to start a bank.
And the bank
Yes,
will be domiciled in US or is it in Puerto Rico?
No, Puerto Rico is U.S. So I mean, we still follow the same guidelines. It's Puerto Rico is part of the FDIC and the Fed. So I mean, all 3 banks here comply with the FDIC and the Fed regulations. We happen to have that distinct feature that with the card networks as well as the other suppliers, if you will, it's Latin America. So we don't, if I were working for Banco Popular, which is my family business, if I were working for Banco Popular, I would talk to the guys from Visa Latam. But if I were in the States, I would talk to Visa USA. And the thing is, Visa Latam doesn't allow you to do Apple Pay or Android Pay. You can't, there's no BIN, if you will, to channel that if you're in the Latin American territory. So it's kind of funny because we're technically, we are considered Latin America, but we're still a US territory. However, we behave much more like the US in terms of our spending habits, not necessarily Latin America. So you pinpoint Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, 2 completely distinct different spending habits as well as cultural things.
And then just curious, so what is the core competence you have? Like, I'm just curious, like what prevents someone else copying you, what you're doing? And
Well, again, here in Puerto Rico, it would take anywhere between 5 to 7 years for them to update their technology. It's just as simple as that. They don't have the technology. They have the older versions, if you will, of FIS or Fiserv. So for them to update this would not only have to revamp the entire system, but I mean, the one processing company, which is EverTech, would really have to invest a lot of their money into the improvements of the processing company as well as their products, and most of their capital is already tied to their debt. So it's damn near impossible for them to do it.
So is your
So
core competence a technology? Is that
yeah,
what is this?
see, it's the servicing part. It's our core competency is we're a lot quicker, we're faster. It's the technology at the end of the day. So our tech will allow us to really be much more effective when it comes to either doing transactions on the phone or sending money to somebody else. Our ability to be quicker on the account opening process. We don't have to go. We don't need branches. We're a branchless bank. So that's what
I'm sure you're aware that there is quite a bit of a banking as a service, business developing out there. There's some very significant players. So
Yep.
if one of the Puerto Rican banks want to use a banking as a service product and upgrade themselves, it is not going to take 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, that's what I was curious, because the reason, Richard, is I've been in this space for 25 years and I'm also in technology. The only reason, I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure you have this thing, is where I could see is if you have very specific solution. It's so funny, Ramana, I was just with Databricks with a different call, and I was seeing, like, if you have a very unique solution where you're using a partner, where it is very tough to use an ML or an AI solution, which will take a lot of time, that I feel, but maybe I'm wrong, just I was curious to know.
Yeah.
No, I mean
It's not.
they're all-
I think it's not a reasonable assumption to make that it's going to take 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, that's what even
to
I was.
revamp their technology today,
Right.
because
Right.
today there are players out there with out-of-the-box solutions.
Yep, there are players, but again, the limitations, because we're Latin America, within that spectrum really limits
There's a
them.
Brazilian-
And again,
there's
they
a
have
Brazilian
they're tied
company.
to a contract.
There's
They're
a
all
Brazilian
the banks
company
here are
that
tied
has
to a
that
10-year
offering as
contract.
well.
Yeah. Anyway, all the banks here are tied to a 10-year contract with EverTech. So they
No, Richard,
unless
I'm not
EverTech
talking
does
about
it, they
other
can't.
banks. I'm saying
All right,
another
guys,
startup guy like
this
you.
is, I don't want to pursue this.
Okay, anyway, but thanks for the opportunity. Yeah.
No, you got it. Thank you for the questions.
No, thanks.
All right,
Thank you.
folks, anybody else? Other than Daya and Richard, does anybody else have any question? I don't see any hands up. So I'm going to wrap up, and I will see you in the new year. Happy New Year, everybody, and wish you all the best with each of your ventures, and have a good recharging time during the holidays as well with friends and family. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much. You too. Have a nice Christmas.